Hello, everybody. Welcome to week eight of social problems. This is the last week of this class. I can't believe this all just like flew by like this. Um, yeah, this is crazy. This class is over at the end of this week. So briefly, I went through and graded all of the essays from week six. I got that all taken care of. That was fun to read. It was really interesting. I'm very surprised by how brave some of you were to. I don't want to say confront, but like that's really the only word that comes to mind about some of your parents and their beliefs about immigration. I think it is important to have those conversations, and I think that um, if you can keep a level head, I understand like it can be really intense sometimes, but I think that these are conversations that we all should be having with like people in our lives, particularly around disinformation and some of the lies that are out there. I know there's like a school of thought that like some people I would say particularly on the left. I think this exists on the right too, but I think some people on the left think that we just should not talk to Trump supporters or like right wing people, and I think that's like dead wrong and kind of stupid, for lack of a better way to describe it, because like at the end of the day those are still like your parents, your grandparents, your cousins, your aunts, uncles, like whoever it is. And I think that we should be having those challenging conversations as long as you're able to stay relatively safe in it. Like I understand people have complicated relationships with members of their family and stuff, and obviously I wouldn't advocate talking to somebody that's like kind of a jerk or abusive or however you want to characterize it. But if you can have civil conversations, like I do feel like we all as a society have kind of forgot how to disagree with each other. Like we can have disagreements and talk and debate and have conversations where we present different ideas and the other person may not be convinced, and that's okay. Like you don't have to win every conversation. Like I feel like if for all the people that are married in this class, I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from, that like sometimes you just have to I hate to use a cliche, but like you just have to agree to disagree. Just like see the other person's perspective, understand where they're coming from, why they may have that thought or whatever it is, and present your perspective. And if it's just not convincing to them, just kind of have to leave it alone, and decide whether or not this is like a sort of deal breaker for you to stay in conversation with that person. So anyway, yes, I really do admire a lot of you for having these difficult conversations with your parents about immigrations. I don't think they should be difficult. Like I said in the last week's when I recorded that video, we're not this class is not reactionary. Like this class has been, I don't even know how long that I've been teaching at Macomb since the pandemic, so since like 2020. So during the whole time I've been here, we've covered all these same topics. I taught this class at Wayne State when I was a PhD student, uh, going back to like 2014, and we covered all exactly the same topics. I would imagine it was going long before that, probably back to like 2000s. I mean, maybe even further. I mean, these are timeless social problems. And so, yeah, once again, this class is not like reactionary. We're not talking about immigration because of what's going on in the country right now. This is something that has been a problem for a very long time. So anyway, yeah, this is the last week of class. I just want to briefly cover that this class officially ends on Saturday, so that's why the deadline for everything this week is Saturday. So you have to get it in on Saturday to me, because Canvas actually won't let me put a due date past Saturday. Like that's the latest I can because of the structure of the class. So get your work done and to me by Saturday, please. That means class ends on Saturday, so I have 72 hours to be done with everything. So I'm going to basically grade everything that's not graded by, probably the next day on Sunday, even though it's daylight savings time, and we have a kid's birthday party. But I'm going to try to get through all of my grading on Sunday and then leave the grades open for a day or two and then enter them by Wednesday or Tuesday, I mean. Yeah, Tuesday. Because I would like to get any disputes, like if you see anything in the grade book and you want to, talk about it, I would prefer that you reached out to me before I close the grade books and enter your final grades than after. So this week's class is on environmental problems, very important and relevant topic, as all these topics in our class are. I think as you go through this, I want you to remember, just like every week, I want you to remember that this is a class about sociological research and sociological perspective on these social problems, and to also kind of inform you about the debate around these topics about like why is this a topic that generates controversy in terms of, like, for example, this week when we talk about environmental problems, when we talk about climate change and global warming. Like, I was just looking at the textbook. They had this chart here to show that kind of sorry, I'm just scrolling fast here. About the trends in the global temperatures. And it's kind of undeniable that, yeah, so here's like deforestation and stuff. Oh my God, how far back was this? Jeez. Sorry, I guess it must have been like at the beginning of the chapter. It's in relation to global warming. Yeah, it was right before this part. I remember that. Yes. So these are the global average temperatures by year from 1880 to 2019. Say what you will about recorded temperature measurements. I feel like these are probably a little suspect because we didn't have as good of equipment and measuring technologies. But if you assume that from like the 60s onward, it's kind of undeniable that we're in a warming trend, and the dispute or the controversy, if you will, arises from what's the cause of this, and does it matter? Does it harm people, or is it going to make this planet unlivable? And like, does it matter that the temperature has gone up about a degree over, 80 years or 60 years? I mean, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. I'm not an expert on this topic. I think it probably does. I feel like it probably matters that the planet's getting warmer, and these are averages, so some areas are going to be hotter than others and whatever. So yeah, this is sort of going to discuss a lot about like what is the range of ideas, and like what does sociological research on this look like? What does a conflict theory perspective look like? What does a structural functionalist perspective look like? And just like sort of what's going on with these topics. So it's very relevant. I mean, again, like all of the topics in this class is very relevant. I included an inconvenient truth, which is from, I want to say 2004 or something like that. It was the Al Gore movie. It's still very relevant. I watched this recently. It's about climate change, global warming, things like that, and the contributions of human society to those things. It feels a little bit precious now to watch it because of how much worse things have gotten. And I included this article. I just happened to be reading about this, what's going on in Mississippi. And this encapsulates a lot of the problems that are happening right now because of AI and because of these data center constructions. You may have heard about this on the news because Michigan is one of the target states that's getting a lot of these data center constructions or proposed data centers. So I would think about, in that context, how much things have changed. Like, if you do watch Inconvenient Truth, it's not required of you, but like I said, I included this article too, just to see like a little bit of what's going on, because this kind of covers a little bit of the microcosm of like in this community in Mississippi, they allowed for these data center constructions, and now it's causing all of these problems for the residents because of like their utility bills and then the noise that's being generated. It's like messing with people's sleep because they have these generators running 24/7. Like, dogs are going crazy, like birds have all fled the area because of the noise and stuff, and it's really just a big disaster. And it's very unfortunate because these things tend to always happen in poor communities and usually communities of color. In the textbook too, that reminds me, in Michigan, we're very familiar of some of these environmental problems because of what happened in Flint with the drinking water, and they do cover that a bit in the textbook. And it's really, you see like the whole range of areas where this can be very problematic. So, yeah, just go through it. I think this is very interesting. I think it's very important to think about. I think it's particularly for the parents in the class. Not that like if you don't have kids, you don't care, but I think particularly if you have kids, I feel like this stuff, at least for me as a parent, it really weighs on me thinking about the world that my kids are going to inherit and the kind of problems that they're going to have. Like, it's crazy the things that you have to worry about now. Like, I don't know if you all remember, just about a week or two ago, the snow was starting to melt, and we were getting those environmental air quality warnings because what has was happening was there was so many pollutants were trapped in the snow, and as the snow was melting, it was creating this kind of humid environment, and those pollutants were being released into the atmosphere, I guess, at our level, like at a level of the air that we breathe in, because the humidity from the snow melt was keeping them like right here with us. And the reality is that as snow, so like snow is polluted. Like you really shouldn't encourage. So what I learned in this whole thing is that you really should not encourage your kids, or you should discourage your kids from eating snow because it contains pollutants, like as it's coming down to the ground. And it's really like just sad, and it just like I don't know if maybe that was the case when I was a kid in the 80s. I don't remember that conversation. I don't remember hearing about this ever in my lifetime until recently. um, but it's just things like that. It's like it's just terrible. It's like we're just making the planet less and less hospitable for us. And now, as we are very familiar here in the state of Michigan about these, the summers are becoming just kind of a nightmare with the wildfire smoke that's like drifting towards us from Canada, because like the unique weather systems that create this like channel that brings the wildfire smoke basically directly to Michigan. And it's very unfortunate that this is the world that we live in, and it's a result of our own activity. And again, the planet is going to be fine. Like the planet is going to far outlive us. And it's just the question is how hospitable of a place do we make this for us, for humans, and for life, and for like other animals, and whatever. But at the same time, you think about like in like I watched this documentary not long ago about Chernobyl, and like what's currently going on in Chernobyl, which is insane. If you are interested, just a little spoiler: during the Ukraine-Russia war, Russia flew a drone into the protected area around Chernobyl, because it's actually in Ukraine, which a lot of people don't realize. And it wasn't actually in Russia; it was in the Ukraine. Russia flew a drone into the protected area and damaged it, and now it's releasing more toxins and more radioactive pollutants into the environment. But you have all of these dogs and cats and other animals that still live there in Pripyat, in that region of where the Chernobyl meltdown happened, and they're like thriving without people being there. I mean, I'm sure their lifespan and like quality of life has probably been diminished. But it is something to consider that, like, when we talk about all of these environmental things, we do need to kind of balance it. And this sort of, not to be another spoiler of what is this week's not quiz question, but I think that like we have to like, I think of myself as an environmentalist, like first and foremost. And this is an issue that's always been very near and dear to my heart, to think about taking care of the environment, and the what we're leaving for future generations. But I also am a realist, and we live in this world that have people that like don't care. Like there are some people that have an ideology that God gave us this planet to basically use up all these resources. This is sort of like the evangelical ideology, is that there's like all these trees and animals, and these are all resources for humans to basically use up. and we ought to use them to their fullest capacity. And somehow we all have to like figure out a way to exist and to compromise with each other, because just because my beliefs are strong and your beliefs are strong, that doesn't mean that like one of us just gets to win because we have stronger beliefs than the other. Like we both probably have equally strong beliefs. Um, so it's something to think about. And I feel like this is like an overriding theme of this course is like, how do we find compromise in these difficult, intractable social problems that face us, have faced our predecessors, and will continue to face people that inhabit this economy, this world, this human society that we live in, because we're all going to be here, and we just have to be good stewards for the next generation, however we conceptualize that. So anyway, I hope you find this interesting. I hope you found this class interesting. This is the last week, and this is the last one of these videos I'm going to record. It was a real pleasure. Like I said, I haven't taught this class in a few years, many years really. It's not super different from Intro to Sociology is what I typically teach. And actually, I'm starting an Intro to Sociology class in a week on March 16th. So I think the class might be full, but you could get waitlisted if you wanted, if you have that space. Is interesting organizing the topics around these social problems. And it was a really fun experience having you all go through the materials and reading your essays and reading your thoughts about this stuff. Like, I think this is really my absolute favorite thing about teaching sociology, and what brought me to this field is getting to see everybody's perspective and to see and talk to you all about talk is in the sense of like how we talk in this class where you submit assignments and whatever, but it is nice to be able to read your thoughts and to see your perspectives on these things. So let me know if you have any questions. If you all have any questions about transferring to a 4-year college, or even if you're thinking about grad school in your future, I'm always happy to answer any questions about anything like that related. So yeah, I will look forward to reading the remainder of this course stuff. Let me know if you have any questions about the class or anything else, and I will talk to you all soon. See you later. Bye.